Hey, what's up, everybody? So, welcome back to KT Confidential, the real estate podcast. On last week's episode, we discussed the top Googled search terms about real estate related to buying and selling, but we skipped two questions. This week, we cover why should you hire
a realtor
to sell your house? Enjoy. Welcome back. You were away at the cottage for a week or so.
5 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a little bit quieter around here. How was it?
It was good. It was a little quieter up there.
Yeah, that's nice.
Gave you guys a break. Gave myself a break. It's good.
Good.
So today we are kind of going back to the last episode, where at the end of the episode, we talked about the most searched Google terms. And one of those searches was
related to real estate from the perspective.
Yes, obviously we're a real estate podcast.
Yeah, but it was like
most real estate search terms
related to how to do things, how to sell, how to buy.
Whatever. Go back and listen to that.
Yeah,
episode 286. So in this episode,
we skipped over one
of the questions. So in this episode, we're going to continue that. It's actually going to be in two parts, because the question was, why should I hire a realtor?
Right.
So
for what?
Yeah.
That's part one. Part two.
For what? So we're going to break it up into two parts. One, we'll talk about why you should hire a realtor for selling. And part number two, why you should hire a realtor for buying.
And then we'll dabble in there, but leasing, because I think it's really important.
We'll do that more on the buying side.
Yeah.
So that'll be in next week's episode.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. So today we're talking about selling. Yes. I'm wearing this golf shirt under this and golf shirt under a hoodie. Probably not good. No. Anyways.
Are you all right?
You going to answer the question?
Well, I mean, there's a long list of things. I mean, for starters, from the sales perspective, how capable and comfortable are you with negotiating into the millions of dollars on your largest asset? I mean, most people hire.
Are you now saying, as opposed to hiring a realtor, you'd be doing it yourself?
Correct. Well, what would the alternative be? You just don't move. It's one of the three.
I suppose.
I've seen many scenarios where, actually, my dad's a good example. He bought a house going back several years, private sale, guy down the street, 2 doors down. And actually, sorry, next door neighbor. He found out this guy was going to list his house privately, so he bought it off him. And he bought it off him I believe he paid $300,000. And at the time, my estimated value of the place was $350,000.
Okay.
So even if he had have paid commission on that price point, he would have come out ahead selling it, doing it properly. So the list of reasons is huge. One is just the ability to negotiate.
But there is the potential there that he didn't want to deal with the headaches of preparing the home, showing the home, doing all of those things.
Well, that's not the person listening, I wouldn't say. Because if you don't want to capitalize on your investment and get top dollar, then you're not listening to the podcast.
Yeah, it's your biggest investment, so you obviously want to maximize the return. If you approach a financial advisor at a bank and you say, I have $500,000, you're not going to say invest it where it's going to get me the least amount of return. You're going to say,
right,
get me the most amount of return that you can on that investment.
Well, and how many people are utilizing those types of services from banks or,
right,
who's managing your money? Probably not you. And if you are, then maybe you should sell your house on your own if you're that capable. There's lots of people that
we don't see too many homes for sale by owner anymore.
No, we don't.
We don't. Not in the GTA anyways. But why should you hire a realtor? Well, a realtor, when it comes to listing your home for sale, is first of all going to give you a roadmap of what needs to happen throughout the process. So what are your responsibilities as a homeowner, and then what are their responsibilities? And our responsibility as a realtor often falls on knowing the market intimately. We talk about that a lot in the podcast, right? Knowing exactly who is in the market for this type of home, what is the demand for this type of home, and what is the best way to market this property, what is the best way to stage the property based on who it's appealing to, and what is the best strategy. Right now, that would be a big component. What is the best strategy and price point to make it the most attractive for the widest audience possible to garner the most amount of offers possible? And that's something you don't know unless you have the experience. And that's something that takes time to know and experience and being on the ground with it.
For example, we'll be listing a property very soon. And this morning, just before we're hopping into this podcast, I sent an email to my clients with my opinion of value and our, what our strategy should be going into it for list price. And I sent them a list of all the comparable properties. I've been into most of them, not quite all of them, but I've been into most of them. And, there's some that look really nice, nicer than theirs. There's certain things that are nicer than theirs. And at a glance, they should be priced lower than that other property. Okay. But I know because I've been in it that the workmanship is poor, it stinks, and it just does not show very well. So I know
what
that
you see online and what you see in person, two totally different things.
Very. And so I know that if somebody's cross-shopping us, that they will very quickly be drawn to ours, even though, other people who haven't been into both properties would probably say, oh, that one should have sold for more money, even though it probably won't in the end.
Right.
So those are really important. And I think also homeowners, especially if you're selling your primary residence, there's so much emotional attachment to it and sentimental value that you need somebody to come in, that's not biased, right? You need someone to come in and tell you what needs to change before you list it.
Whether it's paint colors or that's often one of the bigger things is,
for sure.
Oh, I just painted it. Yeah, wrong color though.
And chances are in an average market, there's nobody anywhere that will perceive more value in your house than you.
Now, some people will say, yeah, I can hire a stager to come in and provide me a staging consultation. I can hire a stager and stage the property and get their advice. Sure, you can. I can hire a photographer and get them to come. I can hire a videographer and get them to do the video. I can hire a 3D tour person or a floor plan technician. I can hire a graphic designer to create a brochure. I can hire a web designer to create a website. I can go onto Facebook and get some ads. I can start a Instagram page and buy some ads there. Oh, yeah. Well, your list is continuing to get longer and longer and longer. And if this is your first time doing any of those things, good luck. If you're hiring a realtor that's experienced with all of those things, they have a process, and a process that pretty well should be a well-oiled machine that takes it from A to Z, which is the start, the prep work of the home, right down to the closing. And even if you get a lawyer involved to review the agreement of purchase and sale, all of a sudden you have all of these steps that you're spending all of this money, all of this time coordinating it. It's just like, why do general contractors exist?
Right.
When you could hire the plumber, you could hire the electrician, you could do the flooring, you could do the carpentry, you can hire a painter, all of those things. That's why general contractors exist, because they have the right people, they have the knowledge, they know the process, they know the order in which all of those things need to be completed. They keep everybody on schedule. They're the ones responsible for the final product.
Well, and the good ones will make recommendations along the way, because, you as a homeowner may say, oh, I want to put...
You might need a plug there.
You might need a plug there. Or you may, you should probably not put a wall up here. You should probably leave it open, or you should, install some extra light fixtures, and here's why. And that's what the agent is doing. They know what sells. they know what's attractive to
Yep.
the greatest audience of prospective buyers.
And that changes all the time.
Well, yeah, everything's always changing. The market's changing on right now on a weekly basis.
Yep.
So having somebody with that intimate knowledge can pay dividends when you're selling your home, and they have the fiduciary responsibility to you that legally they're obligated to do everything in your best interest. So who wouldn't want somebody like that working on your side?
And at the end of the day, the ability to negotiate the best terms, price, and conditions on your behalf. You might be in sales. You might be think you're a good negotiator. But if you're not negotiating real estate deals on a regular, active basis, there's a very specific way to maximize the return on those agreements. And somebody that is skilled, that's been doing it for a long time and doing it well, will know how to, quote unquote, squeeze that lemon for you. And oftentimes it can mean an extra few thousand or many thousands of dollars in terms of price. Many times it means the right T's and the right I's are getting dotted and crossed in the right spots. And that there's a lot to be said with that in itself. I know from our numbers, and I don't want this to be a session about us, but I can pinpoint many, 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 many circumstances where I can definitively say we ended up with a 1% increase on the price where our competitors may not have or would not have.
But even just more of a general overview, if you look at any industry, sales-related industry,
Sure.
where you have sales representatives,
Yep.
there's a spectrum of good salespeople. And
we've all been there, whether you're buying shoes or a TV.
There's high performers and low performers and no performers, right?
Yep.
So it's, you can't question the fact that a good salesperson is worth having on your side.
Well, I want to touch on that point, actually, because that's a really good point, because everything we do in life involves sales, if you think about it. And there are always new people to that industry trying to make a living being in sales for that particular industry, whether it's selling electronics or furniture, whatever. It doesn't mean the new person is not good.
No.
And it doesn't mean the experienced person is good.
Agreed.
Because sometimes the people that have been in it for years
complacent
are either complacent, they haven't been trained properly, they're out of touch, or maybe they just were never good. And because it's hard to find salespeople in some industries, they've just been doing it for so many years. Yeah, I've been here for 30 years.
Yeah. Like,
doesn't mean you're good at it.
For me, car shopping is a good example. It's not something most people shop for often, but I know a lot of people dread going through the process.
Yeah.
And it's because they keep getting stuck with shitty salespeople.
Yeah.
But if you run into an exceptional car salesman, you will probably thoroughly enjoy the process, and it will be smooth, enjoyable, and you will buy the vehicle. And the same goes if you're buying a house.
That's why we did so well in that industry.
Right.
We had a great process. We were good at what we did, and our competitors weren't as good. And that industry has such a low barrier of entry for the value of money you're spending.
Yeah.
Like what did we say on the last podcast? A couple of podcasts ago was we were
estimating the average vehicle price, and I assumed it was in the mid-20s. You said 40s. Turned out to be over 60.
Right.
Which is crazy.
So if you're spending 60 grand on a vehicle, that's not a small purchase anymore.
Right.
So yeah, that's a whole other topic, is that industry. We should start a podcast just on teaching that industry some things.
Yeah.
Anyways, so if you're selling a home, do you have to hire a realtor? No, you don't. You can still do it on your own. All of the tools necessary exist out there for you to hire, the suppliers, the vendors, whatever. If you haven't done it before, why would you risk doing it on your biggest asset? It's just like if I took $100,000 and knew nothing about stocks, I'm not going to close my eyes and just randomly pick some and put my money there. But that's kind of what you're doing when you're selling it on your own. So we've had podcasts in the past where we talked about how to hire a good realtor. So scroll back and find those episodes because those will give you some greater insight. But I think that kind of
This summarizes it, really.
Summarizes it in a nutshell. So if you have any questions, any comments, you've had experience, I'd really love to hear from people that have had either good or bad experiences trying to sell privately. So leave a comment and let us know.
Ciao.
Bye.
There you have it. Hope that helps you in understanding why you should have good representation on your side when you're looking to sell your biggest investment ever. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe and tune in next week to find out why you should hire real estate to buy a house.